What's up, everybody? This is DP with TRPT Change of Direction. This is our first episode. We have special guest Tarell Brown. Thank you for coming in today, sir. Tarell, I met him back when I was in 4th, 5th, 6th grade. He was a sophomore in high school. As he was starting his climb to stardom in football ranks, he later became a USA Today All-American, an Army All-American, a Parade All-American, a 9-year NFL vet. Man, I'm telling you, my guy won a national championship at the University of Texas when they beat USC. I appreciate you for coming in today, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate you for coming in. But yeah, so TRPT Change of Direction, it's about athletes changing from one side of being an athlete to a business person, to a mom, a dad, to being a productive human in society. That's a big thing that athletes lack, learning how to move from the football field, the weight room, the basketball court, and become productive outside of sports. So that's where TRPT Change of Direction is coming in to help former, future, and present athletes, by talking to guys like Tarell of how they really transition. So what I want to talk about just a little bit is just what really got you into playing sports. What was your first thing that said, hey, I want to play sports? Was it, mom, dad? Did you see something on TV? What kind of got you moving there?
It was mostly my parents.
Okay.
They gave me the opportunity, just introducing it to me by watching kind of TV. And then from there, they moved me from New York to Texas, and the rest was kind of history. We started playing soccer first, then track, baseball, football, and so on and so forth. So I give all the credit to both my parents.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So I know you, so similar to me, I played all sports growing up. Right. So football is what we know you for, right? So did football become your passion because it was your favorite sport, or did you just start seeing that, hey, I was kind of better in football than the other sports?
I just started to excel more in football.
Yeah, so like that's a big thing, right? I know some guys, and it's hard. Like I have athletes that I train every day. I'm like, dude, you're way better in whatever sport than the sport you love. Like, right. And this is about production, and we would all love to do whatever we want to do, but sometimes you kind of maneuver. So for me, it was a little different. I actually, I played football and I played Division I ball at KU, but I actually had quit football at one point to play baseball. I was a lot better baseball player than football player. A lot of people don't know that. Right. I actually tore my shoulder up twice while pitching, and then that's how I kind of put all my focus back on the football. But I actually was a football guy that started excelling more even in baseball, but injuries derailed me, and I ended up going back D1.
Well, that usually happens. I think most athletes, and I think that the younger guys are watching this, I think you should play two sports and get as familiar as possible, not only with your ability, but your hard work, your work ethic, and just kind of see where you kind of may fall in line at once you get a little older in your career. So I don't see nothing wrong with guys kind of being two-sport athletes. I think that helps them kind of longevity-wise be able to put not only focus in one craft, but focus in multiple crafts and just kind of see where the chips may fall after that.
Exactly. So it's cool that you said two sports, because I think that's a big thing that coaches and trainers and parents and athletes have a big debate on now. Should I focus on a sport, or should I play multiple sports? And what I tell my athletes is you should play as many sports as possible until a cutoff time. So my cutoff time is usually when recruiting starts getting serious, which is that middle to end of sophomore year. So I tell my guys, freshman year, I actually played basketball at North Mesquite. Got moved from freshman to JV.
Me too.
Right? So from freshman to JV.
Right.
And then I actually started varsity as a sophomore in football, but at the time when I was playing basketball, they had no mentions of me playing football on varsity. And the basketball coach was like, hey, man, I talked to the, around. They're not really talking about you playing varsity football next year as a sophomore, but we want you to be our starting point guard. But I knew my trajectory in football. I actually told them I'm not playing basketball next year, and I guess I just got to go play JV football. So that was kind of like a thing where I knew I'm going to be 5'8", right? 5'9", maybe 5'10", end up being 5'8". And I was like, I got to put that to the side, because basketball is a sport that really limits you in height-wise.
Yeah, so you was realistic.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes a lot of younger athletes, or even parents, we have to be realistic on our approach. And we have to see where our child fits best at. And a lot of times, like you said, it's kind of going throughout the process.
Yeah.
And then once you get to a certain point, if you decide or you start to notice that you're getting recruited more in a football standpoint or baseball standpoint or basketball standpoint, is it worth you playing another sport and maybe getting injured?
Exactly.
Because injuries do happen in sports. And we know that 99% of the athletes that play football leave the game injured.
Exactly.
And that's just a proven fact.
And what sucks about
between those lines, but at the same time, there's also a side of recovery.
Exactly.
There's also a side of soft tissue work. There's also a side of mobility. There's also a side of flexibility that we can't neglect, because if we don't do the right things, the body can only be tangible so long.
Exactly.
And eventually, everything is not going to always be elastic. So injuries do happen. So it's more or less a preventative thing. You prehab before rehab. So just learning the body and being able to have the attention to detail on and off the field.
Exactly. I think that's a big thing. I think athletes think that you have to just work, build muscle, build speed. But I tell them it don't matter how fast you are, how strong you are, if you're sitting on the sideline.
For sure.
I have athletes that will work their butts off, and I praise them for it. But then I'm like, but how much stretching have you done? Have you iced after? You tell me your knee hurts, but you're not icing. Right. You're not doing anything to keep you from getting these reoccurring injuries.
For sure.
And I think that's a big thing. Like I said, that prehab before rehab. Why not work on doing something that's going to keep us on the field instead of keep on working on something that's going to get us back to the field?
For sure.
So I think that's big. I know that you played for San Fran for 7 years?
I played in San Francisco for 7, the Raiders for 1, and the Patriots for 1. Yes, sir.
Definitely. So what were just like some quick little things that you saw from your coaches in San Fran, which you had Harbaugh for 3-4 years?
3 years.
3 years, and then who was your coach before Harbaugh in San Fran?
My first coach was Mike Nolan. Then we went from Mike Nolan to Mike Singletary. And then we went from Mike Singletary to Jim Tomasula.
Okay.
And then from Jim Tomasula, we went to
Harbaugh, and then I know obviously Belichick was with the Patriots, and then
in Oakland I had
who was I can't even think who would have been out in Oakland at the time.
Dennis Allen.
Okay, so The reason why I just asked that, so like, you were kind of like what I did in college. I played for 3 head coaches while at KU,
Right.
and I actually played for the last 5 head coaches at KU, with 2 of them being, one being a receiver coach when I was there, and one being a defensive coordinator and safeties coach.
Right.
Like, with that amount of coaches in the NFL, what was like a common thing that those guys all preach, like at that level?
Accountability. You got to be accountable. I mean, nobody's going to babysit you when you become a professional. Nobody's going to make sure you do, or you work out, or you get in a cold tub, or you're conditioning. You know, we don't condition in the NFL. You know, you got to condition yourself, and you know what you need and what you don't need. So a lot of times it just comes down to accountability.
Okay, that's big. I think that's something that I can really piggyback off of with my training. I tell these kids, like, they'll be like, well, my mom did it. I'm like, you're 16, 17 years old. Why is your mom texting me? Like, you have my number. Like,
Right.
You let me know, you know. And I know there's extenuating circumstances, and, you know, but no, for the most part, I want to do business to business with you, and your parents can pay me.
Right.
But setting up these workouts, you know what your schedule is. So I think that's what I've been preaching with my kids a lot more, is stop having your mom text me about the workout.
Right.
I'll text your mom when they owe me money.
Right.
And they're perfectly fine with that.
Right.
And I actually have more and more parents saying, don't text me anymore. Text them, you just say, hey, send me money. And that's what we're trying to preach in our organization with even our young kids. Of, hey, you start taking control of this. This is extracurricular for you. Your parents don't need to be running around trying to figure out your schedule on this, because they got younger brothers and sisters that need their help. You can do this by yourself, you drive. So tell me what you can do, let your parents know, let's get it done, and then we'll take care of the money part on their end, but you need to be accountable for what you got going. So
For sure.
that's definitely big. I know accountability is big, but what about like just the mental aspect? Like what did you draw from? Because of course I don't care, like people think, oh, he's in the NFL and he's a Hall of Famer, like for these guys that they see, or he went D1, life must be easy, or everything's easy. What did you draw from when there was a hard time at North, Texas, the NFL, or whenever something didn't go your way, a bad game, or I went to a camp and didn't perform like I wanted to?
I always go back to my foundation. You know, always know what your foundation is and be able to go back to it. Understand that as an athlete, you will fail. And even as an athlete, as a person.
Exactly.
As a person, as a human being, we're going to fail in life. That's
Exactly.
a fact. But it's not about how many times you fail. It's about how many times you can pick yourself up after you failed and be able to brush yourself off and reinvent yourself, or have a different attitude on how you approach that next situation or that same situation. For example, say I have to cover a guy and we're in one-on-ones and I'm not feeling good that day and my legs are a little tight, but I have to cover the top guys because I'm a starter. So I need to cover the other starters in the one-on-one drills. Well, I give up 2-3 catches in one-on-ones. Well, I have to get back to my foundation, not get down on myself, man, what am I doing, and tear my mind up. But my focus is, why didn't I make that play?
Exactly.
I need to be a little more patient. Make sure that I'm reading his hips. Make sure that I'm doing the things necessary that's going to help me succeed, and don't lose what I've gained from my foundation. My foundation teaches me that you're going to give up catches, but it's not about giving up the catch. It's about why you gave up the catch and what you can do better the next time. So if I have any advice for the youngsters, it's more or less about, you know, you're going to fail. For sure. But get up, redo it, and figure out another path or another option of approaching that situation so that you don't fail again.
Exactly. No, that's good. And that's the biggest thing, is that people don't understand that your favorite athletes fail just as much as you do, but they figure it out faster than most people. That's what makes them special. Their ability to figure out their failures and then put it in a way to say, if I do this now, I'm going to win. So, like I said, with that being said, we're going to transition on over to our change of direction part, from our sports to our business. So go ahead and tell them about just a little bit about what you do now after you got done playing in the NFL, and now kind of what you're dabbling in and building, really.
I jumped into real estate. What I noticed was when I retired, I took a break. I gave myself an opportunity just to reflect on my career, reflect on life, and spend more time with my family, kids, grandma, and so on and so forth. But after that, I've noticed, after doing a lot of research and a lot of reading, that 70% of most millionaires or multimillionaires made their wealth in real estate.
Exactly.
So with that being said, I told my financial advisor, who's in New York with First Republic Bank, that I wanted to dabble in some type of real estate. I had got into real estate in 2010 when I was still playing in the league, but I wasn't hands-on. I had hired some people to kind of do some things for me, and the things went really well. So my experience with real estate from that standpoint was really, really positive at that time. So from 2010, I retired in 2016. In 2014, I bought some land.
Okay.
And I would just acquire little pieces of real estate just here and there throughout the Dallas Metroplex. So if it was land acquirements, if it was buildings, if it was rental properties, if it was leases, it was wholesale flips. And I just started to dibble and dabble in just more and more things. And with doing that, I reached out to a couple realtors, a couple brokers who I trusted or who were really doing well in the Dallas Metroplex area, and I teamed up with them. And from there, man, I've been making history. I've developed 24 townhomes so far. I'm on the verge of working another 60 townhome unit deal with my business partners. So I would advise anybody, if you're looking to build some type of generational wealth or residual income, something that where you can make money in your sleep or while you're sleeping, to try to jump into some type of real estate.
Definitely. So I know that's probably the biggest thing, not only for athletes, but there's always the fad or there's the investment of the time, right? There's a network marketing at one point, there's real estate, there's computers. I feel like real estate is always going to be, say it's not a fad because it lasts forever, but it's always gets to a point where it's like real estate, and then it's just like real estate, then everybody wants to jump back in because, depending on the market and land values. So would you suggest that, like, for guys like in the NFL to start like you did, like as early as possible, or when they know that it's kind of getting closer to the end of their career? Because depending on how much time you're having, I know you said you had somebody doing it for you, so I know that it can get time consuming depending on how many units or what you're trying to do. So would you say play your ball a little bit, save up some money, make sure you're doing good on that when you feel like, okay, I'm comfortable with where I've been at in the league, now let's start doing it? Or, hey, I got a big first contract, let's jump in right now, first round pick type thing?
My advice to any guy is don't get involved or don't put your money in anything that you're not 100% involved in. Yeah. Because nobody's going to take care of your business better than you will. You are your own business. You are your own brand. And 9 times out of 10, if these people are investors or partners or people that you hire on your staff aren't invested the same as you, more than likely they won't approach that situation the same way you would. Exactly. So, for example, a good friend of mine, Justin Smith, I played with in San Francisco. He told me when we were in the steam room, he was like, man, never invest your money until you're fully done, because now you're able to pull up on these people and have these conversations. You're able to put 110% effort into your brand, your business, or whatever venture that you are dibbling dabbling in, and they know that you're there. Exactly. So they're not going to more or less try to take advantage of you because they know that you can pull up, compared to you have a 16-game season. They know you in Chicago. They know you in Detroit. They know you're in California. So they can tell you anything, knowing that you can't just pop up on them because you're in season. So I would advise anybody to wait till they're done, or find people that you trust, that you really, really, really trust, that's embedded, not just taking your money and investing it for you, but they invest with you. Exactly. So now y'all both are in the deal, so y'all both have something to lose.
Exactly. I think that's big. Not just giving your money away, because you get guys in the NFL, literally, it's crazy that it's 2020, and today there's still guys complaining that they got $25 to $50 million stole from them without them knowing.
But it happens,
right? And we know it, and it's like, how does this continue to happen when, like, this isn't a new thing, right? Is it just like, people being lazy and saying it won't happen to me, or is it like these guys are really that good?
Well,
with
you put too
selling
much
what they
trust.
got,
You
right?
put too much trust in somebody else, and then not educating yourself enough to understand or know what bullshit is.
Yeah.
You know, excuse my French, but at the end of the day, you know, advisors are there to advise you about your funds, but you have to do that same due diligence on your end and make sure that you're crossing your T's and dotting your I's, because this is your money. This isn't their money. They're here to help you invest your money and make that money last for a long period of time. But your job is to ask as many questions as possible. Your job is to be as attentive as possible. And your job is to, more than anything else, is to oversee the overseers.
Exactly.
And if you don't know how to do that, hire somebody that does.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we're so stubborn. Athletes are so stubborn that we think we know it all. You know, we get to overspending our limits or overspending our lifestyle by keeping up with the Joneses. For example, if I'm a cornerback and I make $1 million a year, and the quarterback on the team or the running back on the team is making $7 million a year, and he has new car, new bags, new suits every week, our money is different.
Exactly.
So I can't keep up with that $10 million dude or $10 million guy when I'm a $1 million guy. I have to stay in my lane and know that, hey, look, just because they have it doesn't mean I necessarily don't have it, or I don't need it, but I don't need it at that point in time.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we can all wait for certain things because everything is a process, right? If I go out and buy 5 Benzes right now, and a guy that is a multi-millionaire or a billionaire, he buys 5 Benzes. His 5 Benzes won't hurt him compared to me buying 5 Benzes at this time. It would potentially hurt my household because our money is different. So a lot of times younger guys get caught up in the fad of the NFL where you got to wear designer, you got to wear this, you got to have jewelry, you got to drive this certain type of car, where it's not about what they portray on you, is what you see in yourself.
Exactly.
So for me, I just never tried to keep up with the Joneses. Just do my best at what made sense to me and follow in a guidance of my financial advisors, and just say, hey, look, man, you don't need that.
That's smart. And I tell people all the time, like, the people that are trying to keep up with the people are usually the ones behind, right? Because they're trying to keep up with them. But the people with the real money literally out here wearing the most regular stuff, and
You'll never know it.
Exactly.
You'll never know they multimillionaires when they walk
All
through
the
the door.
time. You'll never know. I have guys that literally, like, I know it because I know it, but literally there's people that walk in there and they're just like, who's this dude? Like, or whatever. And he's driving a regular F-150 like your dad would be driving.
Right.
And dude got $20 million coming in a year. And you never know. So that's why I always try and get across to people. The people that don't care for a reason most of the time. Because they're not trying to keep up with you. They know what they got. But so moving on with some more questions. Real estate, right? It's a very competitive market because everybody wants to be in it. People do know that. That's where the millionaires and multimillionaires are coming from.
Right.
So what do you think distinguishes you and your people from everybody else, you know, like in the market wanting to do it? What makes y'all kind of different?
I just think we bring a different feel to real estate. It's more of a diverse feel. We're very open. We communicate very well. I think my builders, my construction team, they're very honest.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing. When you're in business, it's about honesty. It's about being credible and holding your word. And for me, my word is everything. My word is bond. So if I say something, then I'm going to try my best to get that done for you because I put my word on it. So for STUD LLC, man, we're just honest people. We're not here to get over on people. Our biggest thing is to build the most incredible product with strong material, but at the same time, something that a family can live in, they can feel comfortable in it, and they can feel safe in it.
That's perfect. I think that's the biggest thing. Being good people.
Right.
People having, you know, what we would always call in the locker room, that camaraderie. Like, you know, you can build that with the person off the street.
For sure.
Right? You can build a bond with anybody by the way you approach it and what you do and what you say and then by what you show. So I think that's, you know, a really big thing. And then you mentioned STUD LLC. I know what it is, right? So just go ahead and tell the people how you came up with it, what it means, and what it means to you.
STUD LLC is an acronym for Stronger Than You Think. My reason of coming up with that was life. You know, life hasn't always been easy for me and my family. I grew up in a rougher environment, and I've had some tragedy throughout life. And throughout that tragedy, what I've noticed that my pain has always been my strength.
Exactly.
And I've used my pain to strengthen myself, but also strengthen my goals, strengthen my determination, strengthen my focus, and so on and so forth. So STUD is just something that I feel like everybody can relate to. Everybody can understand that or relate to the fact that you're only as strong as you think you are until you have to be strong.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of people don't know how strong they are until they really have to go through some type of adversity in life. And then when you go through that, you really see to the core who you really are. And for me, I wanted my business to always know that regardless of what we go through, good, bad, ugly, or indifferent, we'll never fold. We'll never fall, and we'll always be stronger than you think.
Exactly. I think that's a big thing, especially being in the athletic sense, right? It's like you get to number 9 of 10 on a sprint, and you just feel like I have nothing left.
Right.
I can do this 9 and 10 and I'm done. You do number 10 and they say, well, Tarell ran too slow, we got 5 more. And then you do those 5 more. And then they say we got 5 more. And you told yourself you was done on 9 of 10 and you ended up doing 12 more after that. You always got more in you. Right. And I think that's something that athletes can really relate to. And people think that, oh, I'm done. No, you're not done. You're stronger. We've seen the stories about moms, kids getting trapped under something. Mom, move that, right? You're stronger than you think. So I think that's really big for people to understand. Like, keep going. Our boy Q Demps. I like his saying too. Just walk on, right? No matter what happens, you just gotta keep walking,
keep going,
right?
Keep
right?
going.
It feels like you're down and out, but you just keep walking on. So shout out to my boy Q Demps on that one. I know he's up in Chicago doing his thing, and we'll get him on here later as well. But like I said, just being stronger than you think, I think that's an amazing thing for people to understand, not only in sports and business, but in life. Like, there's times where you're going to get that divorce, you're going to hit the bankruptcy, and people are like, I'm done. Like, there's nowhere else for me to go.
Right.
But the greatest people usually became the greatest after they became bankrupt, after they got fired, after something didn't go where they wanted to go. So I think that's perfect for people to stand on and get behind. So, like, what are, like, some of the habits that you go through, like, on a day-to-day, like, to get from being an elite athlete, but elite in business? Like, what were some of the things that you formed to say, I need to do these things every day to be productive?
Wake up early. I wake up early every day. I've always approached it as the underdog throughout my whole life. It's like, hey, I have something to prove every day. And every day is a new start, a new opportunity, a new beginning. You know, I can't do anything about yesterday, and I can't do anything about tomorrow, because tomorrow may not come for me. But I know that if I woke up to see today that I have the ability to change whatever it may be that's in front of me, or whatever obstacle that I may have to jump over or overcome. So for me, it's waking up early, you know, having that attention to detail, staying focused, and determination. You know, I've always been determined to put forth the effort day in and day out, regardless of what it may be.
So you talked about being an underdog, right?
Right.
So you were ranked number 2 in the class of DBs in 2000, and what was your?
I came out 2003 in high school.
2003, number 2 DB in the nation.
Yeah,
so
Antonio Cromartie was the only one in front of me.
Okay, so but we talk about having an underdog mindset, right? Then you were drafted in the 5th round, played 9 years. You know what I mean? And this is what people don't understand. So when I was in school, I was watching Tarell play football at North Mesquite. He was the number 2 corner in the nation. And at that time, nobody even knew he was a cornerback because he was so good at running back. What was you ranked at running back? You know?
5.
Number 5 running back in the nation. Number 2 cornerback in the nation. And he still has an underdog mindset and feel like he hasn't got enough. You should never feel like you got enough because you're working hard. Like, if you're working hard, I feel like you always feel like there's more out there for you and you're not satisfied. So I bring that up to say, for you guys that are number 150, for you guys that got Sam Houston or whatever it may be, or going to Bama, remember, I'm talking to a guy that was number 2 in the nation at a corner position and number 5 at running back and could have went to any school that he wanted to. and he worked his butt off. I know guys get one offer and it's over. Like, oh, I ain't got to work no more. And that's something to really listen to and draw from. So what really gave you that? Like, because like think about it. There's probably a handful of guys, if that we can find right now that say they were top 5 in 2 different positions and in the same sport, and you still took that mindset of I'm an underdog. What kind of gave you that?
My father. My father, he always would tell me, not in a negative way, but he would say, you ain't shit. You know what I mean? That ain't shit. You know what I mean? There's more for you to do. There's more for you to accomplish. Well, that one time that you got that interception where you should have took it back for a pick 6, but you was being lazy. Or that one carry that you got shoestring tackled, you should have ran through that. You know, so he would always encourage me in his own little way by telling me, like, hey, that's not enough. You always got more in you. So for me, if I have any, if I have any advice for the younger guys, I would say humble yourself, because you might be the best in your city or you might be the best in the state, but are you the best in the country? Because there's other guys in California, New Mexico, Arizona, Florida that's working while you sleep. Why are they working while you sleep? Because they want to get themselves out of that environment that they're in. Why? Because they're hungry. Why? Because they're determined. Why? It's because, man, I'm trying to take care of my mother. Why? Because I'm trying to go to college. Why? Because I might be the first person to ever go to college in my family.
Exactly.
So that's important for you to be able to change that paradigm, not only for you, but for your family. And the work you put in now can change your life later on down the line. But if you put no work in now, you will be working later on down the line. So my grandma would always tell me, either you can put the work in now, you can put the work in later, but you're going to put the work in.
It's usually harder later as well.
Come on now.
Just like interest, it adds up over time.
Come on now.
So as far as being an athlete in business, so is it harder to be a better elite athlete or to be an elite businessman? Which one do you
they're
feel
both
so?
hard.
So
they're both hard, but I would say
pick
sports is a little harder, just because only 1% of guys that play football or any type of high school or college sports make it to the professional level. And even making it to the professional level, you play 2.5, 3 years, and your career's over. So now you still have to go out and find some type of a career or a job. So my biggest thing was, I would say they're both very difficult, but I think it's about the energy and the passion that you put into it that will help you along the way and make that journey a little bit more lighter than what it would be if you didn't put in that energy or you didn't put in that effort. So everything comes down to effort. You put in the effort, you'll get the results. If you put in no effort, you get no results.
I said that sports would probably be harder because it's so opinionated, right? So subjective of what somebody wants, right?
Right.
I think in a business, if you come up with something that's truly amazing, like people are
People
going to
gonna
want it. Right? Literally, if I run a 4.3, jump 45-inch vertical,
They're going to want you.
They're going to want you, right? But then when you're kind of like in that middle road, it's like they can say, well, this is this and this and that. If you're good in business, I feel like it's a lot easier, right, to sell yourself than just going up and selling yourself as an athlete, because there's so many different avenues.
You can fake it in business,
right?
pretty much.
Right?
You can fake the funk. There's a lot of people out here faking the funk and robbing people and doing unnecessary things in business. So you can fake the funk in business. In sports, you can't fake the funk. You get what you put in. If you didn't do no conditioning, you didn't do no working out, we'll be able to tell. Coaches will be able to tell. You know what I mean? So I think that's what separates the business side and the sports side. It's like we can see when you didn't do nothing. We can see when you ain't put no work in on the athletic side. And then from a business standpoint, yeah, we can see it, but it's going to take a little longer for us to figure it out through inspections, through title, through concrete people, so on and so forth. So you can fake the funk a little easier in business than you can in sports.
Yeah, and right in sports, there's a chain that you have to go through. There's literally 8-year-olds making $6 million a year off of YouTube. Like in sports, you can't really do that. You have to go from whenever you started, which for most of us is 5 to 6 to 18 just to get to college, and then go to another 4, and then not only that,
and you gotta have a lot of luck on your side too.
Healthy. Literally, that's what happened to me when I was coming out my senior year. North Mesquite, I was on preseason, not North Mesquite, KU preseason Blitnikoff, 5th round draft projection. guy represented 21 first rounders out of Miami. Hey man, you have a good year, you got it. First game of the season. I literally score a touchdown. We get a rain delay. We go back out. You know you only get like 7 minutes to stretch. Right. Catch a swing route. Make the DB miss. Don't get touched. My foot slips a little bit out from under me, and I tear my groin. I'm out for the season. In business, I can step off a curb, roll my ankle, I can do whatever. But I don't have to be 100% able to run a business, right? And I tell people, the best guys, now I'm not even talking about going to, we always use the jail, right? I was like, no, the best guys literally had family issues that they had to leave from college for, right? The best guys literally took injuries and took them out the sports or whatever. So in business, I feel like there are less things that are outside of, like injuries are outside of your control. I think the things that are outside of your control in business still won't take everything away from you like it can in sports.
For sure.
Yeah, so what is like a piece of advice that you would give to somebody that's saying, you know what, I want to, be like T. Brown. I want to be like some of these guys that I see on TV. What is a piece of advice to say, hey, this is how you go from where you're at to here? Like, so we know the accountability, right? We know form those good habits. Is it just like, stay the path? Or what would you tell them if they say, I want to be like you, man?
I would say, first of all, they got the wrong approach from the beginning because they can only be like themselves. Exactly. So don't be like nobody else. Be like yourself. Exactly. If somebody else inspires you, exactly. If somebody else can give you some type of guidance, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. But you're yourself, and be the best you can be. And the best way I can tell somebody to be the best them they can be would just stay organic within yourself. Exactly. Stay grounded, stay humble, always work hard, keep your word, and the most important thing is don't lie to yourself. Exactly. Don't lie to yourself, because you know when you're working hard and when you're not working hard. Exactly. You know when you're bullshitting and when you're not bullshitting. So at the end of the day, don't lie to yourself and approach every situation with a positive energy or positive outlook, because more than likely, if you approach it that way, something positive will come from it. So exactly. I would say, hey, look, focus on being the best you can be. And if there's something that you can take from me that you learn, that's awesome, right? Yeah. If that's strength, if that's overcoming adversity, if that's how to be a better DB, if that's how to put together contracts for general contractors, how to bid out jobs. It could be anything, right? Exactly. But be the best you can be. Don't worry or focus on anybody else and what they're doing, because everybody's path is totally different.
100%. I'm actually glad you said that. The reason why I asked you, because I figured you would kind of go down that, because, we grew up in the same type of thing. Your dad, my dad, friends. I grew up as like your younger brother. I seen you in the garage. I tell everybody back when, you were in the garage or somewhere, you were working out, and I would, come out there, I'm just talking mess, you know what I mean? Like, AT, you ain't do this in the game, blah, blah, blah. And like, so I understand like your path and my path, or, different, but same type of mindsets. And like, people ask like, who is your idol? Who is this? I was like, I never had an idol. Like, the one person I did is like idolized, and it wasn't nothing for basketball. It was Kobe Bryant. Right. And it literally was for one thing. His mindset. His mentality. And like, I tell people, I love LeBron. If you're a Kobe guy, you gotta hate LeBron, right? If you're a Celtics, I don't think you should. I don't think you have to. No. But and like I said, not most hate fans. Not hate fans don't understand. Exactly. Yeah. And like I said, and I put that in quotes, not saying, because like I said, I'm gonna talk mess. Like, if LeBron dropped 100, I'm gonna be like, but he missed 2 free throws. He should have went 102. Just like if I'm a Celtics fan, I can't like the Lakers, right? Even if I do, I gotta say I don't, right? So like I said, I really do respect LeBron. But my biggest thing was from the Kobe and LeBron. When I went down there on the court, I don't care if LeBron's averaging 28, Kobe's averaging 15 in that year. Kobe's my guy on the last shot, because I feel like regardless make or miss, he wanted that shot, right? For sure. Right, he wanted, and that's what I got from him. So, with in light of all the things happening, I actually just dropped the Kobe inspired shoe. That it was crazy, because like I said, and we have put it out there because I know there are a lot of people that try and take advantage of situations, right? And I know people know me, and I'm not that guy, but we have been working on a shoe for 3 months, and then this happens. So we're like, hey, we felt it needs to be said. Don't think we just came up with the shoe yesterday when it happened. Like, we wanted to tag him, and regardless, he probably never would have saw it, but you don't know, right? We wanted to, so we actually had the name of the shoe. Me and my guy Dorian named it 785s because that's where we met in Lawrence, Kansas when we first met, and that was going to be the name of the collab shoe. We ended up changing it to the 224s. We dropped them on 224. We actually came
what
up
can
with,
we get? Where can they get?
You can go to aliveshoes.com. I don't have all the backslashes and everything, but you can get them on from my Instagram. They're in my bio.
And what's your Instagram?
DP2 Nice. You can get those. So like I said, we actually came up with the day we're going to drop them, probably like 4 days after he passed. We're like, hey, 2 for GG, 2 for 24. So we actually had that date before they even put that on the memorial.
Right.
But I asked that to say all that, like, so we know the mindset, but is that what you like got from like Kobe, just like everybody else, the mindset, or?
Oh yeah, just the approach to the game. You know, having that killer mentality. You know, when you play cornerback in the league, you're by yourself 9 times out of 10, and if you give up a play, everybody sees it, and it's not just. Like you say, like we were just talking about fans, right? Fans don't always understand what may or may not go on the field. So if we had a busted coverage, but I'm chasing a guy,
you're the closest one to it.
Brown gave up the catch. I gave up the catch. Them not knowing, they're probably on Twitter cursing me out, sending me death threats, all kinds of stuff if we happen to lose the game. But they don't understand the attention to detail it takes to play that position, and also the small, minute things that if you and your safety's not on the same page, you're going to give up a play, and things happen. So for me as an athlete, Kobe embodied the mindset or approach for every game because he was so laser focused, nothing can get him deterred or in another direction when he was focusing on the task at hand.
Exactly.
So I would tell anybody, especially corners, young corners, man, you have to have laser focus out there because one bad step, one bad misstep is a touchdown for you compared to if a linebacker makes a bad step or a bad play, or a D tackle makes a bad step or bad play, it's a 5 to 10 yard gain, and we can make a tackle and we'll line it back up and play. But if you do that at a cornerback position, you're giving up 6 points and you're hurting your team. So, man, that laser focus that Kobe had, man, it's amazing. Rest in peace to him. Yes, and everybody lost on that flight, his daughter, other coaches, other young student athletes as well, too. But one thing we can say and we take from him is just that mindset, man. And never give up. Always have that killer instinct and, man, attack that focus. Attack your focus.
Exactly, and I think that's what we were all raised on. And like I said, I gravitated to it fast. My pops being an undersized guy, my pops always told me, even when you're number one, you work like you're number two.
For sure.
And then the other thing he always told me, 100% of the time, son, the small guys got to prove they can play. The big guys got to prove they can't play. So they're never going to pick you first.
Never.
No matter how many times you beat them, they're never going to pick you first. Because they're going to say, this is the time he's not going to succeed. And this is the time the big guy's going to show he's going to be the big guy. Right. So for all you undersized athletes, you know, who are, I don't care if it's speed, size, or whatever they're saying against you, like, just go out there and prove it. Because if you prove it at some point, you're going to end up on top. But don't use it as an excuse. I didn't. He didn't. But with that being said, man, I really appreciate, you for your time.
Man,
and I want you
to
really tell them, where they can find you on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, wherever they can find all your stuff at.
My Instagram is ILLEST972. My Twitter is Tarell Brown 25, TARELL Brown, like the color, the number 25. And my website is tbstut25.com. If you guys need any type of real estate advice, we do multifamily, we do single family, we do wholesale, we do leases, and we also do we develop properties. So that's our website. And I also have Brown's Kids Foundation, where we help the underprivileged kids in our city, Mesquite, Texas. It's our 12th year doing it. Giving out backpacks and food drives, school supplies. We do free football camps, health fairs, so on and so forth. But I appreciate you, just having me on this podcast and giving me an opportunity to, use my words to encourage other athletes or other entrepreneurs, and I hope and pray that we all just continue to flourish. You know, at the end of the day, iron sharpens iron, and the more and more we can brainstorm and brush off of each other, I think the stronger our community becomes as a whole.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that, T. And like I said, that was our first episode of TRPT Change of Direction. Hope y'all liked it. Like I said, this is my guy, Tarell. And also, before we get out, we do have the Browns kids camp, football camp. It'll be June 25th and 26th, correct?
Yes, sir.
So we'll be having that in Mesquite, so be on the lookout for that. We'll be posting more about it, and you'll definitely be able to catch it and find it. And shout out to Tribal, what is this, their bar?
Tribal All Day Cafe for having us in Oak Cliff. In the Bishop Arts District. They allowed us to use their space, so we definitely appreciate them for allowing us that. And y'all gotta try the elderberry latte.
It's that poolside, man.
Stay healthy, my friends.
Y'all have a good one. Appreciate you, T.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.